Welcome back to this tutorial series on working with the True32 website template. This video tutorial will be about editing the header of our website. To get to the header, it's not with the builder. We won't be using the BBM builder for the header or the footer. We actually have to go into the customizer. So under Appearance here, you choose Customize, and there's a lot of things that can happen in this area. We're going to focus on just the header at this point in time, but you see here we've got a whole group of things that we can do from here, and we'll spend a little time on this one. This is some code that I've done that gives us editing ability globally rather than locally, but right now we're going to look at the header. So if we just come into header, this first two, the top bar, we're not using. If we turn the top bar on, it just adds another little bar right above this header area, and really the only thing that it does is give you the ability to type some words in there, and you can have two things. I don't recommend using it. I don't think there's any need for it, but you can certainly play with that. And then you can style it, so you choose the colors of what's going to be up there. But we're not using it, so it doesn't really matter if those are answered or not. I try to answer them anyway. So here's the header. So one of our options is how this header is laid out. So right now we have 14 pixels of padding, and then we've said that it's a fixed header and we want it to fade in. Now the fade happens pretty quick, so you don't really notice it, but it does fade in when you load the website. And then we're basically saying no matter how big a logo you put in here, we don't want it to get over 46 pixels in the height of the header. We don't want the header to grow just because we put a big logo in here. We want it to make it fit into the space so the header doesn't come halfway down the page. So the next part that you can do with the header is the header style. So we've told it that we want the text color. If we don't have any text here because this is an image and these are links, and then when we hover over them you can see what happens. So here we have text color, we don't have any text, and then we have the link color, so they're gold as you're not hovering over them or selecting them, and then when you hover you can see that it turns to another color, and the page you're on is that other alternative color. So that's what these do, and you can set them to anything you want. When you click on these, you can slide this bar, you can move that dot, you can pick one of these, or you can actually paste in the color that you want. One of the things that I use is this little plugin for Google Chrome called ColorZilla. If I take this thing and say, hey, I want to use this picker, and then when I float over anything on the screen that has a color to it, it's actually going to see how it turns. Right here is where the color is going to show up. So if I'm on white, it's white. When I get over my green, it turns green, and that's the actual color. And when I click that, it will save that number, the RGB, all the different versions of the colors. And so if I don't do that, let's see if I can escape out of that now that I did it. But you usually know what the colors of your logo are. Somebody does that for you. But I can also come back up here after I've done that and see my color history. And then all of these are different things I've picked. And when I pick on one, there's the color that I can cut and paste into these fields. So I'm going to cancel that and go back to that header style. And so if I wanted to change it to that orange, I would just paste it right in there. And when I do, it would change the color. Alright, and so then your logo, and this logo is showing, but it shouldn't be because nothing's been selected, and I've redone the website, and I guess it's just cached right now. So I would go select the image, then go to my media library, and I know that those were the first things I loaded, so they're going to be way down here at the bottom. And I'm doing this so that you can see a couple caveats here. When you're doing a logo, you don't want to just stick it everywhere. So ideally, you've got a really good high quality logo. I hope you do. And secondly, I hope you've got a logo that has a transparent background. In this case, I do not, because I just made this one really quick on Canva. So I'm going to choose that image, but you see that it's really big. It's a big old square. And then so you've got a logo for regular and a logo for Retina. So make sure you choose your logo twice. I have this one actually cropped, but I wanted to crop it so you could see how I do it. So picking it, choosing the image, so put it in both places. But then I'll go see how it made the header huge. So what I've got to do is publish this. And then before I leave here, I'm going to leave this big and then I'll go edit that. Before I leave here, we also have the navigation. So we're choosing how the navigation is working here. And you typically don't change any of this. It all controls these buttons of what happens with those buttons. And then the navigation styles, back to the colors, what font you're using. And again, I'm trying to use the fonts in this customizer area rather than trying to control them with CSS. But there's a few places that you have to do either color or font or something with CSS. So I'll show you that in another video. So we've got the background set it white because our logo has a white, and then we've got our link colors and our hover color. We've chosen this font called Nucha that looks like this, and all the fonts match up. So that's how all of that works. Now let me go real quick to the media library because I want to show you how to, since that logo is monstrous, I want to show you how that works. So we go to the media library. Some people would say, well, you really should do that beforehand. I'll come down here at the very bottom because I know it's at the bottom. This thing, sometimes you got to wait on it. Depends on how fast your computer is, but it's loading every one of these pictures, and if the picture you're looking for is at the bottom of the list, you got to wait. So I'm going to take that picture, and then you have an internal editor. So I don't have to do this in Photoshop or someplace like that. So I've got this image here, and I want to crop it. And so there's a lot of things you can do here. I can rescale it, change it to another size. I can even change the aspect ratio, but what I want to do is crop it down pretty tight, and I'd like it to be about 120 to 125 pixels tall. So I'm going to take this crop, drag it down here somewhere where it looks close, and see what I've got. See, and it's 151 right now on the height, and I want it to get down to about 120 something. But I also want it to be somewhat equal top to bottom. 129. I'm good with 125, and then just something similar left to right. Get that same reveal all the way around it, and then there's nothing that tells you have to do this, but you have to hit the enter key. There's no other button to. If you hit cancel, you'll lose it all. So hit the enter key, and then save it. So you can actually edit an image or a photo in the editor. It's a little slow, but if it's just a logo, it's not a big deal. So this hasn't been refreshed since we made it huge. Let's see if it goes back to big or, okay, so now it's huge. So we got to go back and reselect. So it's got that old one. That's a second copy of this thing. So let's go ahead and go into Appearance, Customize. We'll just go straight to the header. You got to let this thing load because it moves on you and it jumps. So you let it load before you hit header, and then come to the logo. And now if we go in here and select, oops, I hit the like I want. So it's on. It defaults to the upload file. I don't want to upload file. I want to grab a file. So now I've edited that logo. It's still got to come all the way back down to the bottom. You know I edited it. It doesn't move it back to the top. And that's just timing is all it is. So now you can see that it's smaller. Choose image, media library, and then if you let this thing finish before you slide it down, you can go all the way to the bottom. Choose file, and then publish, and you can see our logo is now the right size. So I wanted to edit one thing so you could see how that editor worked. So it added a little time to this video, but I think it was worthwhile. So that's how you edit the header. That's it for this video on editing the header of our website. Next we will look at editing the footer of our website. Thanks for watching.